All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining the webcast today. This is Real Invest Webcast episode 003. It's really wonderful to have everyone here today. Not much people join us yet, but I'm sure that a lot of people will be joining us as we go. And this is Real Invest Webcast, and our goal is to equip you with the learning that you need to succeed in your real estate investing. I have an awesome guest today, so I want to go ahead and ask you to please like the video, depending on the platform you're watching from, Instagram, Facebook. Please go ahead and like it and share it to your friends and family and whoever you think this is going to benefit. And if you're on YouTube, please um, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to make sure that you're notified of our subsequent um, episodes. Looking forward to having you all here. And this morning, I have an awesome guest that has taught me so much in this real estate market. She's been with me right from the time I became a realtor. She's been teaching me the ropes along the way, and I really appreciate her for it. Today, all gonna be gleaning from her wealth of knowledge. Her name is Kathleen Taylor. She is a realtor in the region of Niagara, and she is also an investor herself. So we will be learning so much. Welcome, Kathleen. Can you please greet the house and introduce yourself better?
Hi, Joseph. Nice to be here. And yes, Joseph and I have worked together since he started in real estate. I've been in the business since 2005, I think, and always with Coldwell Banker and always in Niagara. So I
Mm,
know the real estate around here very well.
nice, nice.
Hmm.
So how long have you been in Niagara region?
My whole life, I was born here.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I only came here about 7 years ago. So yeah, still learning the ropes from this lady here. Okay. So what how did you get into, since you're a realtor, maybe we'll talk a little bit on the real estate sales side as well. So how did you get into the real estate game at all, being a realtor or an investor? How did all that begin for you?
It was right after my first child was born, and I really wanted a little more. No, after my second child was born, and I really wanted a little more ability to have flexibility with my work schedule. And somebody mentioned, actually, a realtor in our office. I was renting from him at the time, funny too. And I had mentioned that I wanted to be have a little more flexibility with my employment, and he said he thought I would be good in real estate. So I took my real estate license, and here I am. So I can thank him for doing that to me. His name is actually Nick Dosa. He's in our office. He's,
Wow,
uh,
Nick. Okay, good to
yeah.
know. Yeah, and I like to tie these lessons that we're learning into things that we've also touched on in the past. And what you've just highlighted here is connecting with the right people. In life, we just come across with just the way we met at the brokerage, and since then, I've learned a lot from you. So connecting to good, honest people is really important in life, and especially in real estate, both in investing and as a real estate salesperson. Can you talk about how you then began to invest in real estate yourself?
uh, I started to think that I, as a realtor, you don't have a pension plan or anything to look after you once you retire, and that started to become a little worrisome to me because I wanted to make sure that I had something to look after me, and I didn't have to work until I was 100. So that was one of the main reasons why I did what I did.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's something to think about as an entrepreneur, whether a realtor or whatever you are. Nobody's your employer, if you were employed, would probably have a package for you, but when you're a realtor, you're an entrepreneur, you own your own business, then you need to think about these things. You think,
Mhm.
no matter how passionate about you are about what you do, you always have to think about retirement. What's the life going to look like after 50, after 60, after 70?
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a good
I
one to.
actually, honestly, Joseph, I didn't start really investing because I didn't start my real estate license until I was uh, over 40. So I really didn't even start to invest until closer to 50, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what?
So,
That actually, brings something to mind. a lot of people, especially people who are not realtors but kind of have a little bit of fascination around real estate, seem to think that all realtors are investors. Can
Mhm,
you debunk that
mhm.
a bit?
I
how m-
can.
how
I
m-
actually have some friends who actually say to me all the time, they need to do it, they need to do it, they need to do it, and they don't. And for whatever reason, I don't understand why. Maybe timing or anything like that. But yeah, so not every realtor is an investor. No,
Yeah, in fact, a lot of realtors are not investors,
correct. Yes.
contrary to. And the weird part is that I've always been thinking about becoming an investor before I became a realtor. I actually became a realtor because I wanted to become an investor, thinking that once I become a realtor, all the deals just come to me you know but it was a
Did
rude
that happen?
awakening to. Yeah, I mean, I learned quick that many realtors actually don't necessarily have a mindset of an investor. They just want to do their sales. They don't mind even helping other investors out, but they themselves don't necessarily want to get involved in it, which is an interesting thing to think about. So but what would you advise, though? Do you think that as a realtor it's something that should be done?
I think it's a personal preference, but
Right.
for me, like not everybody wants to be, but there's different ways of investing, right? If I speak to somebody who wants to who wants to invest, I think automatically they think, oh, I don't want to be a landlord. It's a lot of work and takes a lot of time, and that's just not something I want to do. But
Mhm.
being a landlord isn't the only way to invest in real estate,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, you can flip properties, you can private lend, you can become part ownership in something, so you're just privately, silently on the side. You can be a landlord, whatever. And there's different types of landlords as well.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's that kind of segues into the next question. What investment strategies do you employ yourself?
I've done some flips, my husband and I even did them with my brother and another friend. So we combined our efforts. I know I'm not a big investor. I would consider myself very small time investor in Niagara, but I've done the flips. I own some rental properties, and I also do some private lending. So I have a little bit going in all of the different pockets because I don't want a lot of rentals. It is a lot of work to have a lot of rentals, and sometimes you can be successful with them and sometimes you can't, depending on your tenant, right?
Hmm.
So I wanted to sort of diversify my portfolio a little bit, if I guess you would say.
Yeah, and that's I think a very important lesson here, to not put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes. Yeah.
Each strategy has its own quirks. I would, like you said, not everybody wants to be a landlord, and there are other ways to also be a landlord. Sometimes some people want to count their cents, so don't want to hire a property manager. They want to do it themselves. But some people want it hands off. So even though they're landlords, they don't have any interface with tenants, because they hired a management company. They don't mind letting go of that little bit of cash flow and all that. So there are quite a few ways to, quote unquote, skin a cat. I wouldn't skin a cat. I shouldn't
Right.
say that to Kathleen.
No, no, not me. No, no, no. You might see my kitty in the background.
Right. Yeah. So far, what would you say being an investor have done for you? Well, you've talked about what the goal is, right? But in terms of the rewards, would you say that it's now helping you towards that retirement goal, being an investor?
Absolutely. So I think there's a few things that can happen when I get to the point where I may not sell anymore. I don't even think that will ever happen. I would hope that I would, even when I'm older, do a few deals a year. But um, in the beginning, I've had the discussion with my husband that we'll just live off of the passive income that's coming in from the rental properties, right? The mortgages will be low or free of mortgages. So the rental money that's coming in would be a passive income to us. And then eventually, when we don't want to monitor the properties anymore, we'll sell them off and live off of that money. So
Mm,
there's two ways that you can live off of having a rental property: the income that's coming in or the sale of the property,
right.
in my opinion, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
So in that case, so if you sell the property, then you just have a lump sum cash that you can go do something else with, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or, I mean, the idea is to sell the property when your income is low. I don't want to sell the
Mhm.
properties when both of my husband and I are working. It would be,
Right.
we would pay, too much capital gains on it at that point. So we want to sell them when our incomes are lower.
Okay. Would you call yourself a passive investor, or are you pretty much hands-on with your properties, like the ones that you own?
Right. I do it all myself, but that's because I'm in the business, Joseph, and
Right.
it's easier for me, and I know the rules. I think, and when I don't know the rules, I have a lot of people I can rely on to ask. Right. So
That's
yeah, so I find it easy for me to deal with it. My husband doesn't at all. He just, maybe if there's a plumbing problem, he'll deal with that. But when it comes to the hands-on stuff, I do it all. And um, but that I'm in the business, and it makes it easier for me to do it, and I have the
absolutely.
time to do it, right? But
Mhm.
I don't see a problem with getting a property management company for inexperienced people to look after their properties for them, because with rental properties, you really need to know your rights as a landlord and the rights as of the tenants as well. So that's very important, so that nothing comes back to you know bite you in the behind
Mhm.
years later. Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's even more important these days right now. Like a lot of tenants are getting more savvy by the day. They know
Yes,
their onions in and out. They know the rules. So, and they want to take advantage of the system. So, as a landlord, yeah, keep learning. But while you're learning, maybe get a professional to help you, so that
that's right.
you
Yeah.
don't get caught in a snag with professional tenants. you know. Uh, because
Well, and
there's
you also want to be fair to your tenants as well, right? I
absolutely.
don't, yeah, I don't want to take advantage of them. I want them to be fair with me, and I'll be fair with them.
Mhm.
Hopefully, that's the type of landlord that my tenants see me as. I hope.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I discussed with my previous speaker was also the fact that what you put out there is what you attract. One of the things I noticed about my guest last week was that he goes above and beyond when when he does his renos. It's like he's gonna live in there, so everything is really high end. As a typical investor, you will think that you want to be a bit conservative on how you, but the idea is that the looks of the house would also attract a certain type of people that will be willing to live in there and pay a good rent for it. So basically, you given
Right.
what you give is what you get. Basically, when you make sure that you take care of your tenant, then it's more likely than not that the tenant will be a good one.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
So what were the challenges that you would say you faced when you wanted to begin, maybe as a realtor or as an investor? What were the major challenges that came your way?
Let's go with as an investor, because as a realtor, becoming this is more about investments, right? Not becoming a
That's right.
realtor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so becoming a realtor just takes a lot of persistence, and that. It doesn't just
Yep.
fall in your lap. A lot of
Mhm.
smoke and mirrors. So, but for investment purposes, I think uh, the biggest hurdle I had to get over was um, just in my own head. I kept thinking it's not possible. Only rich people can invest. My friends are all, they're able to do it because they have money, but in reality, a lot of them started with nothing. So I had to just get out of my own head and realize that I can do this, and I can figure it out, and it's what I do for a living, and let's just figure it out. So my husband and I bought our first property. Just we very nervous. We were very nervous when we did it, and I was already in the business 15, 10, maybe 12 years when we did it. So
Oh wow.
yeah. Hmm. Just get out of my own head. I had to realize that I could do it, and if it didn't work, I would just sell it. But here we are, still years later. I own more properties now, so it
Okay.
worked. Hmm.
So we talked about the strategies you employ. So mostly you do buy and holds right now. You just buy them and rent them out, and that's it. You said
uh
you did some flips too, right?
yep, I've done a couple of flips as well. Yeah, with my brother, we did a couple of flips, and I think the biggest thing to remember when you're doing a flip is you can't put your heart in. Don't get too vested into it. You're selling it, right? You don't necessarily have to put, the best countertop in, or the nicest floors, or I mean, you'd want to do quality work, don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
if you could put $100 countertop in, or a $200 countertop in, you're not living in the house. You have to remember don't put
Yeah.
your heart and soul into it, right?
Mhm.
It's an investment. You want to make money out of it and you're not living in it. So don't put too much into it when you do a flip.
That's right. And I think it's something I also found with the area that you're doing a flip in. I found that it matters a lot. For example, if you're in a high-end neighborhood where the expectation is high and
That's right.
the return on investment is also high, then you know that okay, maybe those high-end things are worth it. But if you're living
Yeah.
in a if the property is in a neighborhood where it's like the average house is going to sell for 250,000 hypothetically, nothing sells for that anymore, but let's just say that's what it sells for in the neighborhood, then you don't want to invest so much that you're losing money, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers. Does the numbers work?
Right. And you don't, yeah, and you don't want to put into it and just keep eating away at your own investment money, right? So
Yeah.
have a budget, stick within it, and a timeline too. Stick within your timelines too, because those can get out of control really quickly as well. You don't want to be holding on to a flip for, 6 months, a year.
Yeah, tell me about it. I was
Yeah.
involved with a client that bought a flip in the middle of COVID, and it got caught with delays. The windows
Yeah.
did not come for like 6 months,
hmm
and this was financed with the hard money, so a lot of the profits just went down the tubes with the financing. So yeah,
Yeah, and
time is
and that's a risk you take too, right? When you do a
Mhm.
flip, because the market can change so quickly. That's
That's
why
right.
you want to get in and get out as fast as possible,
So
right?
knowing, I guess this is also where knowing the right people, the right contractor, someone that can give you a good turnaround
hmm
time, is really important when it comes to flips. Um, and then again, having professionals around you, whichever way you want to go, or if you can leverage your own expertise, absolutely. I mean, but if you don't know it, then ask someone who knows, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Um, what's your major challenge is getting out of your own
Out
head,
of my
which
head.
is
Yeah.
really unique. I've never really heard anybody say that was their challenge. A
Well,
lot
it's
of
a
people talk
scary
about,
thing, right? Joseph, doing something for the first time is always a scary thing.
yeah, I admit, yeah, it's just a very unique. A lot of people, what I hear every time is money, 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 money. But it seems
Well,
like
that was another problem for sure. But
right.
first of all, you have to get over the fact that you don't want to lose your money. So it makes you nervous, and you just have to, realize
Mhm.
that. Well, most investments have risk. You just have to, I don't know, just make sure you're buying at the right time and selling at the right time.
That's right.
hmm But
So
okay, so other than getting out of my own head,
mhm.
money, and how do you get the money to invest, right?
Right,
Okay. So if you currently own a home, I would say the best thing to do is pull the equity out of your house and use that.
right,
If you
yeah,
currently own a rental, pull the equity out of the rental and use that, and let the tenant pay for the next property.
all right.
hmm
A- And for people who
Pool your
don't
money
currently
together.
own, that's true. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
If you don't own anything right now, and you have other people, then we can make a
yeah.
pool. So, what's your take right now on the current trends of the real estate market? Because there are lots of investors that have been on the sidelines since like 2018, saying we're gonna have a bust. So, is this a bust? What do you think the market's doing right now? What's your take on what's going on in the market?
I think the bust, we might see it in the bigger markets, the bigger cities where they were already overinflated, starting going into this market at 1.5, 2.5, $3 million homes. So
Mhm.
I think that Niagara, we still have some space to move. We're still below the average house price outside of the Niagara region.
Yeah,
So as long as Niagara still has the ability to rise in prices, we'll still be uh, selling houses around here. Um, right now, I think we're very quickly went from a seller's market to a balanced market, and now I think we're at a buyer's market with the amount of inventory that we have. But that's where I think we're at now. It's good to buy right now.
it's good to buy it right now. But
Yeah.
does that mean that the price is crumbling down anytime soon?
I think we saw a small drop in price. Maybe like I've heard somewhere between 7 and 10%. But I personally don't think if you have your house up for sale right now, I don't believe it that you should be dropping your price. I think you should just wait it out, bide your time. There's a little bit of sticker shock happening over the interest rates, but I've seen interest rates higher in my life. So,
Mhm.
when did you come to Canada, Joseph?
2006.
So you've really only really seen low interest rates, right? You haven't really
Right.
seen a spike in rates at all. You've never experienced it. So,
No.
um, right now everyone thinks that the rates are high, and they are high compared to what they've been traditionally for the last few years. I think what'll happen is we have a sticker shock happening right now with the buyers with the interest rates. Eventually, they're going to get over it, and they'll figure out how to navigate around it, and buying will start happening again. So, if you're a seller and you have the time, just hold firm on your price for a little while and see what happens. Don't rashly drop your price just to sell your house right now. If you can stand firm on it, stand firm on it right now just to see what happens.
But how long do you think this buyer's market is gonna last for?
I'll get out my crystal ball. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I like I think personally what's happening right now is just a shock because of the interest rates and the manipulating from the government. But I predict September to start to see things to move
Mm.
again,
Okay.
right? After the summer. People have been locked down a while. They're enjoying their summer now for sure, right? Going out and doing things, and
Mm-hmm.
most of the time I we see things start to slow down around now anyways. The spring market
Right.
has peaked. People
Mm-hmm.
want to be in their houses before school starts again. So this is a normal trend, seasonal trend,
Mm-hmm.
combined with an increase in interest rates that just slowed it down even faster. So I think
Right.
September we should see things starting to move again.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So again, a lot of things that we've seen then movement in the market seems like even though it looked like it's the long awaited law that we're looking forward to in the market, it's really part of the cycle of the market just doing its own thing. It's not like any big thing
Yeah.
really going on.
No, I think the biggest thing that we see happening is the interest rates going up more than once this
Mhm.
spring. Normally we see them go up in the spring, but not 3 or 4 times in a short period of time. So that's the biggest thing. But that it needs to happen, right? We need to slow things down, and it's working.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
What's right now, would you say you're facing any particular challenge as an investor? What are those challenges, or maybe your investor clients, what you've seen them really face recently with their struggles? What would be the major challenges that you found investors facing, and how would you say is best to mitigate those challenges?
But I mean, we all noticed a real difficulties with tenant occupied properties over COVID.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of landlords had a difficult time collecting rents, and tenants are very protected. Um, and understandably, rents were hard to pay during COVID. Like, I don't want to be cold about it all, but at the end
That's
of the
right.
day, like, picture me. If I'm a small investor, I rely on the rents that I get to pay the mortgage on the property. And if the tenant can't pay the rent, I have to come up with the money out of my own pocket. And that's hard on me and my family, right? I'm not out there to gouge the tenants. I collect just enough to
Hmm.
cover the bills.
Right.
So when a tenant doesn't pay their rent, it becomes difficult. So we saw a lot of that happening with tenants during
Mhm.
COVID. So because of that, I have seen a lot of people, liquidating their rental properties, not wanting
Mm.
to deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think it'll change again. I think that luckily my tenants paid their rent. So but it's very important to make sure you get good tenants. That's
Right.
another key, right? Mhm. And
Mm-hmm.
you said it. The level of property can sometimes dictate the level of tenant that you get, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So making sure that you do your homework when you're getting the tenants in
Mhm.
can be really crucial because once they're in,
You're not getting them out.
mhm, yeah,
Yeah.
not in this market and not in this age. Funny thing, recently I actually just heard about a tenant that isn't as savvy. He got talked out of moving into a hotel when
He
the
got
house closed.
talked. out of moving into a
So
hotel
it got talked into moving into a hotel. Um,
by the landlord.
because yeah, by the landlord, because and the landlord told, although it was on a month to month, but he was still trying to figure out where to move to. He didn't have a place, so the landlord decided to pay for an hotel, and they agreed to that. So, well, I think they're still trying to sort things out, but yeah, it was quite a dicey situation.
Oh, for a property that had been sold.
Yeah, it was sold. They were on
Yeah,
month to month, but
yeah.
I'm not even sure if they actually got a proper 60-day notice. But
Mm,
somehow the landlord was able to convince them to move out. Like,
yeah, I've seen that happen. We call that sometimes it's a cash for keys situation, right?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, a proper cash for key situation, then you just, you're paying them out, they give you the keys, but just a couple of days of hotel stay is not nearly enough, right? Most
No,
most
no.
tenants are smarter than that these days.
Yeah, and like that's the other thing. You don't like I don't want to take advantage of them, but I also find that sometimes the landlords are like at the end of the day, it's not their home. It's not like if that house is owned by somebody else, and that
That's right.
somebody else is seemingly has no rights right now. So,
Hmm.
um, or I mean, the rights are there. That it's just taking a long time to get to them. That's
Right,
the problem, right?
right.
Hmm.
So I think we've answered this question a little bit before, but I'll ask it again anyway. So, because a lot of people are always waiting for the perfect time to buy, right? Would you say this is a perfect time to buy?
It's always the perfect time to buy.
Yeah, right.
5 years ago was the perfect time to buy, and 5 years from now, 5 years ago would have been the perfect time to buy.
Perfect answer. You know,
It's always
because
so. And let's look at it in the history of real estate. Has property values actually? They do, but then they climb back up, right?
right. Yeah. I mean, it's price charts we call it a correction, right? So just a little bit of a glitch, but then they back up
Hmm.
again and they keep on going, Just
They
a few
do,
weeks I
yeah.
actually pulled up a chart, like an average price chart for real estate in Canada for I think about 50 years or so. But yeah, the chart was just kind of like this, and then the
Yeah.
sharp
And
the
it'll
sharp
happen again too.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it will.
So it just looks like that's the nature of the market. Since I've had a client that's been on the sidelines for about 4 years right now, and it's like, when are you gonna learn your lesson? This thing is not gonna like, but yeah,
Well, it's funny because I had somebody call me last week and they said somebody told them that they should sell their house, cash in and capitalize on what they've made on their house, and
mhm.
rent for a few years until it drops and rebuy. Bad, 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 bad advice.
Yeah, that's bad advice.
Yes.
Yeah, another colleague, a friend of mine, and she's a realtor in the GTA, but she owns a property in Niagara Falls, and she rented it out. So I helped her get it rented. So the renters, they're I think they're older couple from Burlington. They sold their property for like 1 million, and that property, I bet it's worth at least 2 million right now in Burlington. But they sold
Yeah,
that
see?
property. They
And
bought a
rented.
land. Yeah, they rented and they bought a land in hopes to build. But like, you could maybe refinance or something to buy the land, and like, because that right now in Burlington, what they sold for 1 million, that was early 2021,
Hmm.
and the
I
whole
tell my
2021.
clients what I tell my clients when they want to just keep renting or sell to rent. I said, well, that's no problem. I'll buy the property and you can pay me instead
Right.
of paying yourself, right? Just
Hmm.
pay me. I have no problem with that. I'll collect your rent.
Yeah,
Or
that.
stay in your house and pay yourself,
Mhm.
right?
I remember dissuading someone from selling. It was a townhouse here in St. Catharines that they got very close to selling, but and that was like maybe 2018, 2019. I was like, hey, I like my commissions, I could sell for you. I don't mind selling, but at the end of the day, and not too long ago, a few weeks ago, the person asked me to check a property of a price sold in the same complex, and they would have sold back then for maybe 350,
Hmm.
Now, townhouses are selling in that complex for close to 600.
Right. So now she should be taking the equity out of her house and purchasing a small condo and
Right.
renting the condo out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you
Yep.
with that amount of equity, she'll never be able to buy a big house with it. I mean, she
Yeah.
could if she sold, but to have two, buy a small little condo, rent the condo out.
Mhm. So
Right?
again, that
That's
goes.
small investments.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's and that's one of the things you know what, let me not give this away. So how do you advise investors who say they have too little to get started then? People who don't own anything yet, what they own, the amount of money they have in hand, maybe doesn't, it's not enough for down payment. What would you say to them?
So to start, first of all, I notice people that I've grown up with and their children now are, buying houses.
Yeah.
So their expectation is that they're going to leave their parents' beautiful North End home and they're going to
Hmm.
buy a 3-bedroom North End bungalow. That's how it used to be, but we can't do that anymore. We can't afford those. My 21-year-old daughter is not going to be able to go out and buy a brick bungalow in the North End when she first buys her first home. We have to get outside of our of what we normally know and start small, right?
That's right.
Start small. So maybe a condo, own it for a couple of years and sell it, or rent it out, pull the equity and move. Start small. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you pool your resources together. So maybe you're 25 years old and you've got a couple of friends, and all three of you have a good job, but none of you have, $100,000 to put down. So buy you can, because you have a good job, you buy a bungalow in the North End and all three of you live in it for a little while. Sacrifice it for a few years, right? Sacrifice living with roommates or rent and spend all your money on rent. I say live with your roommates and own the house and pay each other,
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
right?
uh it's a matter of starting where you are, right? If that's
Hmm.
what you can get into it, because something, even if it's little, is better than nothing, right?
Better than nothing. That's right. So if you don't have the down payment, pool it together with somebody else or pull the equity out of your home. So let's look at this. So Joseph, if you bought your house, like let's say 2016 when prices were average, yeah, what were they back then? Maybe 350, 400 was an average price.
Yeah, around there.
Now the average price on that house is probably 800.
Yep.
So you have $400,000 sitting in your house. What is it doing? Nothing. It's sitting
Nothing.
there
Yeah.
doing nothing.
Right.
It's making you nothing. Take out a secured line of credit on your property and make that money do something for you,
Absolutely. And
right?
again, this is for you who are sitting on a ton of cash in your property right now. Do
Yes.
something with it. I'd rather have two properties appreciating in value for me than one,
Right.
right?
So then you have a parent who's sitting on lots of equity and a child who
Mhm.
can't buy a house.
Hmm. Yeah.
That equity in their current house is making them nothing. Why can they not buy a second house and help their child?
Hmm.
And now that money is making them something. They haven't lost it. It's still there. It's just
That's right.
moved,
Hmm.
right? It's moved into two properties and now the two properties are making money.
Awesome. Yeah, it goes back to the old adage that says, "What do you have?" Right? It's like you want
Mhm.
something, but what do you have? See, if you keep saying you have nothing, then you're not resourceful enough. You need to look around. There's always
Right.
something around that you can leverage, right? So look around, especially at the people around you, parents, brothers, sisters. There are always ways to
Right.
come together and make this thing happen, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah. Mhm.
like we said in the beginning too, it's always important to reach out to professionals in the game, mortgage brokers, realtors that can, point you in the right direction to make it happen. um, Someone like Adeline that's seeing a ton of deals happen in different ways will be able to like
It's
look at you and say, hey, you know what, these are some things you have that you may not be paying attention to that could make it happen for you. So talk to somebody. Don't just think of it all in your head, but reach out to someone, and you'll probably be able to get some advice that will get you going sooner than later. This again is Real Invest Webcast. We've been going for the past close to 40 minutes now. My guest is Kathleen Taylor, a good friend, a good mentor of mine in the real estate game as a sales uh, rep. with Coldwell Banker Momentum. So if you're just joining us, make sure to go back to the beginning and watch the entire webcast. We've said a lot of things. And please, if you're on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn or Instagram, please make sure to like and share with your friends and family as well. Anybody that you know is passionate about this kind of thing, please make sure to share with them. Um, Kathleen, I got a couple more questions for you. And if anybody has any questions too, please leave them in the comments. I don't see any questions right now that we've not really addressed here. So if anybody has questions, please post them. But as we wrap up today, Kathleen, we've talked about what you think the market is doing right now. But the long-term outlook, is it any different? What's your long-term outlook on the real estate market or real estate investment in general?
I think in Niagara,
Yeah.
it's only going to continue to climb. I
Hmm.
think there's still opportunity to make money in Niagara. Not as much as we've seen in the last couple of years, but
Hmm.
definitely there's still room to climb, especially in certain types of real estate, like condos, for example. Our condos in Niagara are still very cheap.
That's right.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
So
there is still room.
I think so. I think there's still room in Niagara to, yeah, just be a little more choosier.
Hmm.
And if you're going to do a flip, make it fast, because flipping right now with the market, how fast it's changing, you don't want to get stuck. You said it, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's a property that my client's gonna close on in a few weeks, and the reason why we got the property on a good deal is because it they listed right around the shift of the market. The job
Hmm.
was well done, it looks perfect, but it just got caught in a trap. And
In a shift,
we
yeah.
yeah, it was good for my buyer because we're able to leverage it on the market. So really, timing is key when it comes to flips. Now if you're buying and hold, then it's still, I mean, you still don't want to keep paying your lender for no reason. You want to still get out of the flip and get it rented, but whichever the case is, time is still a very crucial element, right?
Hmm.
um would you
There's still room for sure.
Yeah, I agree. There's still
Hmm.
room. Like you said, one just has to really be more diligent and a bit picky on what deals you choose to invest in.
Yeah.
Would you say a mentor played any role in your journey as an investor? Like, what do you think about that?
Yes, absolutely. But I still ask them questions, and I have three that I rely on very heavily, and all three of them are have been in the business for probably four of them that I rely on heavily, and I call each of them individually for different things. They're all,
Right.
have a wealth of information in different sectors. So, but they've all been in the business for over 30 years, and they're all very successful. So,
Wow,
and they all got successful by investing in real estate.
nice. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and that's what I tend to imitate myself, you know, knowing someone like you, knowing the wealth of knowledge that you have, and also your passion to also see others succeed. I mean, to pay it forward as you receive that information and that mentorship. I mean, I would say firsthand that you've really been a huge blessing for me to just. I mean, there are
Oh,
times when I'm just like pulling my hair out, like don't know what to do because the deal is going south, and you're right there with the right information that just makes everything
oh,
go
good.
smooth. So thank you very much for all you do. Thanks for also coming on the webcast today. I think we're about done for now. If anybody has any questions, please shoot in the next couple of minutes, otherwise we'll be wrapping up. Kathleen, where can, if anyone wants to reach out to you, has any questions, where can they, how, what are your social media handles, or how can they get a hold of you?
I don't even know my social media handles. I think they can. I am all over social media, though.
That's right. I
Um,
will tell you
yeah,
now,
I'm.
you just search Kathleen Taylor and she comes right up. Instagram,
Yeah,
she's there. TikTok, she's there. Facebook, she's there. She's
yeah,
everywhere.
I'm for sure all over social media. I just don't know the handles.
Yeah, yeah. Just I'm not sure you'll
Kathleen
find
Taylor,
two.
Coldwell Banker. Just Google it. It's all there.
That's right,
Yeah.
Kathleen Taylor,
Hmm.
Coldwell Banker. Well, thank you very much,
Hmm.
Kathleen, for doing the show today. It's been awesome having you here. I'm sure that our guests and our viewers and the people that are gonna also be viewing it later on will appreciate all that you've shared for us. Again, we do this to let people see what's possible,
Yeah.
because a lot of people just kind of stay back even though they have all it takes, everything that they need to get it done surrounds them, but they can't take the leap. You gave us one big golden nugget today, and it's getting out of your own way, getting out of your own head, and just
My own
getting it
head.
done.
Because
That's
it's
that's
nervous. It's scary to do it, right? It
yeah,
is
yeah.
scary to do it. Yeah. And I don't consider myself a big time investor, but I've done all of it on a
Hmm.
small scale and it's all worked. So,
Yeah. So those information are things that I believe is going to benefit people that have watched today and are going to be watching later. So thank you very much for coming. I really do appreciate it. And maybe sometimes later, if I get enough requests, maybe we'll come back here and talk about uh, being a real estate salesperson and what it takes. Maybe we'll come back and do that, or maybe we'll drill down on one of those investment strategies like flipping or
sure.
yeah. So looking forward to have you back sometimes later. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you. All
Bye.
right, people. That's about it for today. It's been awesome having you all on the webcast today. Uh, Kathleen was awesome, sharing a lot of important things. She told us about how she got started. She told us about what she thinks about the market right now, the role of a mentor in her journey, and I hope that you've learned a lot watching today. I want to encourage you to reach out if you thinking of what to do right now, whether to invest or not. If you have money you think is not enough, reach out to a professional like Kathleen or myself, and we'll be able to guide you to make an intelligent decision regarding your real estate investment journey. But the journey continues. Real estate is a time game. It keeps on going with the time, and if you miss it tomorrow, well, today is your best chance. If you miss it today, then tomorrow is going to be your best chance. But don't be the one that just lives consistently in the valley of regrets. There are opportunities flowing by every single day. So get in the game and reach out to professionals to help you out. And I wish you Godspeed. We're back here again next week, Monday at noon, with another awesome guest and another friend of mine that I've known for over a decade now. She's an investor. She's a realtor as well, so she's going to be sharing a lot of information. So look forward to that. God bless you. Thanks a lot for joining today, and see you again next week, Monday.